is Pastor Rob, and you are listening to the History of the Future, where we study our past to learn our future. And you're not going to get any fake news here, just a big fat dose of the truth. Today we have a very, very special program here, someone that I have admired and watched for so long, Lisa Haven. I hope a lot of you know her. If you don't know her, I want you to get to know her. She in the course of a month, I believe she gets like over 1 million. She's got a 500,000 subscribers. She's done conferences. She's written Bible studies. She is just someone on the cutting edge of the Christian. How would you describe yourself? Christian news analyst, commentator ranks. Is that close?
That's perfect. Yeah, all of the above.
I mean, I'm trying to figure out how I think of you. So that's, and you got to check her video out. What would you like to bring to our audience today? What do you think are some of the most important issues, or the most important issue out there that you would like to talk about at this time?
Yeah, there's so much going on. I know in our reverse interview that I did with you and I on Restricted Republic, we talked about the chaos in the world and how everything is breaking from the breakdowns of society to what's happening in the presidency to what's going on with Trump. But and the deeper issue is, or the more important issue, is that they're literally pushing God out of everything. And it all is around the New World Order. But I think one of the most critical, outside of the attack on God, that's always going to be number one, but one of the most critical right now when we're talking about logistics is basically the fact that they are censoring all of us into oblivion. And the social justice warriors out there are doing it in the name of, you shouldn't speak that way because it's mean, or you shouldn't say that because it's inappropriate. Well, freedom of speech means freedom of speech, and you have the right to offend someone. You also have the right to bless someone. You have the right to say ugly things. You have the right to say beautiful things. Freedom of speech gives us that. And they've literally managed to convince the public that freedom of speech means you can only say certain things. The problem with that is who becomes the police officer of the internet or of the phone call or of whatever the situation may be. Who becomes the ultimate authority of saying what is good and what is bad? And if we base it off of anything we've seen in society, well, they say abortion is good. Well, is it? No. Not based off the Christian value. They say certain things, transgender teaching your children are good. Is that good? Well, no. So that's wherein lies the problem. And so what happens is we have to remember that tyrants rise and they take over in the name of its safety and security every single case. This is done for your benefit. This is done for your good. Never have we had a tyrant or dictator run saying, well, it's because I want to take over and, you don't need that. So that's not the way society works. And see, they fall for it every time. Humanity as a whole, we do. Your listeners don't, we're all awake. But we have to wake up that sleeping mass to those simple facts. How did Hitler win over a mass? Well, through corrosion. Well, through literal brainwashing techniques like we have today through the media. That's how they're winning masses of people. And people are so far from God anymore that the blinders are over their eyes. So really, a lot of the ones that are awoken today are Christians who are awake, or patriots, or people who are paying attention. And coincidentally, that's become the number one target for freedom of speech. So now they're literally out there saying conservatives don't have a right to speak.
Yeah, isn't that amazing? I mean, the taking away of the First Amendment, which just guaranteed a right which was already God-given. I mean, the right of freedom of speech is a God-given right, an inalienable right because it is God-given. The same with all of, or so many of the rights we find within the Bill of Rights. Freedom of religion, freedom, just from the Declaration of Independence, life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Again, those things are just understood to be God-given, and now they're being pulled away. Why can't we express our point of view? I mean, this is a bit of a side road, but just taking a look at the way Schiff is running the impeachment Soviet show trial that he's doing, he is preventing the expression of the president defending himself by not allowing counsel in the hearings. It's insane. I didn't mean to take you off your track, but.
No, you didn't, but you're right, and I think it's all spawning. Like they're doing what they're doing to the president because they've managed to sidetrack the public, just like they are with the freedom of speech. They said, "Look at over here with Russia, fake, all fake." Then they said, "Oh, well, now we're going to go to Ukraine, all fake, all just junk thrown in the people's face." It's a diversion, basically, to keep them from the truth of what's really going on. The truth of what's really going on is right now the president, AG Barr, Durham, they all have information, and they're going after the high-ups. They're going after Obama and the Hillarys and the Brennan and Clapper and Comey, and all of them are in some serious trouble. This is some of your key agents of the deep state, and he's going after them, and yet nothing from the mainstream media, because the mainstream media is complicit. Just today, or yesterday, or the other day, what was it, Project Veritas, James,
yes.
reveal information. You guys, I'm sure, talked about it, but he showed the ABC News lady saying, "Oh, I know about the story 3 years ago." Who was it, Amy Robach, saying, "Oh, I know about Jeff Epstein, his link to Clinton." She mentioned Clinton. She mentioned Prince Andrew, and we had to somebody basically shut down her story. We don't know exactly who, but the agency didn't know it. And why? Well, because powerful people were involved, and surely they can't go down for their crimes. We're talking sick crimes here. Crimes with pedophiles, crimes with children. And how can anyone turn a blind eye to that based off of some threat or something of that nature? It's ludicrous. And if we were really concerned about the fate of those children, why wasn't the story aired 3 years ago? And I think those are the questions we have to start addressing. And we have to take on the media and say, why didn't you publish that? You're supposed to be for the people and by the people. Who's shutting you up? And isn't that what media is supposed to do? Put our butts on the line to get what we need to get out? And it's just not happening anymore. They're complicit.
Media is completely partisan. But now we're hearing rumblings, and I'm wondering, just your educated guess on whether you think something is actually going to happen. The rumblings about the people that are in serious trouble, and Comey has been mentioned, and McCabe, and going all the way up to the Clintons and Obama. Are we going to see indictments? Is something going to actually come of this, or is this just going to be rumors that should sort of die in the ether?
Well, they're criminal charges right now. They've already opened and admitted that there are criminal charges, and there's people that are going to get in trouble.
But we don't know who.
100% now.
Do we know who?
I think Brennan is. No, we don't know for sure, but Brennan would be at the top of my list for one of the first ones going down, and maybe your Strokin page, but Brennan's at the top, and I don't know who else at this point and how far they'll be able to take it. So that's to be determined, and that's to see. Now, President Trump has put things out there saying it goes all the way to the top, but it ends there. We don't have the file yet, but I think we're going to see a lot of corruption within the CIA, within the FBI, people doing things for other people, and we're going to see blackmail. We're going to see all kinds of things surface, like things that we all know are already going on, but they're going to start surfacing, and the truth is going to come out. The problem, however, and it's going to, I think, somewhat hinge on if we beat the clock. If they somehow get President Trump out of office, what they're trying to do is trying to impeach him before this whole thing comes out. You see, because we can pass this on or put Trump, hit the pause button on Trump. They can do a lot of things. So if they get the impeachment going forward and this document information isn't out, then that terrifies me. Are they going to get what they need to get? Are they going to be able to indict who they need to indict? And I think this is one reason why they're after Trump. They know he's on to their corruption, and they know he wants to expose them. So it's a battle of time.
Right. It's a race.
First.
Yeah, it's a race right now, and we noticed that when the heat seemed to be turned up and they seemed to be on the edge of getting something, all of a sudden Nancy Pelosi was like, yeah, sure, we're going to vote on this. Of course we're going to make, go ahead with impeachment. All of a sudden, any of her strategic misgivings just kind of disappeared because she realized how dangerously close some of her party and perhaps herself are to being indicted.
I hope so. Time for her to go to prison. Oh, and I don't know if she's running. I know a lot of people have said it's a possibility. I teeter back and forth, and I hope not. You know, I mean, I don't know. I lean more on, I hope not. I mean, this is, it's just a crazy world. She is at the top of some of the crime syndicates. I think she had somehow, I'm sure, got somebody somewhere linked with Jeff Epstein. And so there's a body count a mile long that surround those people. And that's the thing. I've studied body counts and deaths that surround presidents. And I'll be honest, there's deaths that surround every president. The average, right, is about 5 or less deaths. With the Clintons were over 100 deaths that surround those two. So there's a little more going on, with these presidents in particular. But it's an interesting study that I've done in the past. But it's just something to think about, like the corrupt nature and what they're really doing. And I can't say that Hillary I can say with 100% certainty she doesn't care about America. She doesn't want what's best for this country. And she wants to usher in our new world order, our globalism type of rule, and give up our sovereignty. That is what the Democratic Party has become. The Democrats are not the Democrats they used to be.
No, not at all. And I will agree with you 100% on that fact that she is the poster child for the New World Order and all the values that come with it. I mean, wasn't it Planned Parenthood that named her abortionist of the century? I'm paraphrasing, but they gave her some award for the promotion of abortion rights that named her as the greatest woman of all time. So I mean, she is representing values that are not truly American values, at least in the traditional American sense, in the Judeo-Christian tradition that was laid down, upon which our republic was laid down. And that doesn't mean that everybody, for instance, in our founding fathers were Christians. A lot of them weren't, but I believe that the ones that weren't, even they recognized the value that came out of the Judeo-Christian moral code and the Bible, and so they used that as the model upon which to build our rights. Correct me if I'm wrong. I don't know.
No, you're right. 100% right. And so I can't disagree there. But I think what we need to do is just focus on waking up the world to that. Focus on opening blind eyes. Focusing on teaching, waking them up from all this propaganda that they've been propagandized to death. Like when I came out of high school and college, you're like a liberal right off the bat because of what they're teaching you at that level, unless you've had parents that teach you otherwise, unless you have parents telling you what the truth really is.
Right.
And so that's one thing I want to just encourage all the parents listening or grandparents, because you're a part too, and you have a say too. And sometimes kids listen more to grandparents than they do to parents. Some situations. So never feel like you can't pass on information, because our kids are literally being turned into communist, socialist zombies, so to speak, when they come out of the public schools and they come out of the colleges. We have to start winning that back and putting God back in at the center.
And and it's not, and give them a reason. I mean, don't just believe as I believe, but let them know the reasoning behind it. And I'm thankful in my own life that my daughter has come out. Despite what the public education system tried to do to her, that my daughter has come out with strong Christian and conservative values. We got about 1 minute, maybe a little bit less. How'd you like to finish this one up? Let people know how they can reach you and view your podcasts. Yeah, if you guys want to check me out, you can go to restrictedrepublic.com. It's a platform that I do with Justice Night there. We've got a lot of good content, video content. They can also check me out straight up on YouTube. Just plug in Lisa Haven. I should still come up so, for now. But if you plug me in, I'm right there at the top, and people can check me out there as well. Okay. Lisa, thank you so much for being with us today. It was wonderful. Yeah, no problem. Thanks for having me on.